How do surgeons typically sell LASIK, and what is wrong with the way they're doing it?
Well, they sell it as if it is a completely risk-free procedure that will be a miracle and will make you see better. LASIK doesn't make you see better. It always makes you see worse. You lose contrast sensitivity. You have trouble in dim light. So that's not true. And then the consent forms don't give you the percentages. If you knew you had a 75% chance of having an incurable, untreatable, forever dry eye, would you have wanted LASIK?
Hell no.
If you were told there was a 10% chance of chronic neuropathic pain, where the pain signals get running through the nerves and you can't get rid of it, would you have had LASIK?
No.
And these nerves aren't there for decoration. They're there because they're helping the eye be normal. They're helping the tear film. They're keeping the eye healthy. You've cut off all these nerves. You have chronic inflammation. 100% of LASIK patients have inflammation in the cornea, which is easily seen on scans. The inflammation never goes away.
Why do LASIK clinics operate on both eyes at once? Because doesn't that amplify risks? Like, are they doing this because it's about profit over safety?
The patients that I've seen in my office who have had LASIK are the most unhappy, are the ones who've had LASIK in only one eye. Because then you're seeing out of your normal eye,
Ugh.
and then you're seeing out of the LASIK eye. And the LASIK eye has this distorted vision and blurs and dazzle, and you're not really seeing well. So
I'd probably rather wear an eye patch. I mean, honestly. Why do most ophthalmologists stay silent about LASIK's risks? What pressures are keeping them quiet?
Well, many, many ophthalmologists feel exactly the way I do. They don't let their patients get LASIK. They haven't had LASIK. They don't let their family members have LASIK, but they won't speak out. And I had long conversations with two of the most eminent cornea specialists who have made it their specialty to treat LASIK patients. And they see all day long these patients coming in with horrible pain, with disturbed vision. And I said to them, we're writing a book. Would you like to make some kind of a statement? Would you like to say maybe LASIK complications aren't explained well enough? And they wouldn't speak out. I have two friends who I really respect. They're both very good surgeons. One of them took a cataract out of my right eye. He doesn't do LASIK anymore. I asked him why he didn't do it, and he said, because if something goes wrong, there's nothing you can do about it. And another friend of mine is a highly respected cornea specialist. He was one of the first doctors in the United States to do LASIK, and he doesn't do it anymore.
So why won't they talk?
You will have to ask them. I don't know.
Was evidence and complications regarding LASIK hidden from the FDA in the approval process?
Yes. The first person on the list of 4 people who wrote the LASIK book is Morris Waxler. And he was the chairman of the committee that approved LASIK. And he was the one that forced them to follow the patients for a year. They wanted to just do immediate outcomes. They told him there's no problem. Some people have a little dryness. Some people have a little problem with starbursts, but it all goes away. After he retired from the FDA, he met Paula Kofer, and she started introducing him to LASIK wounded patients, starting with herself. Paula was a very successful banker. She's a really super smart woman. She's completely disabled now. When we went to testify before the FDA, when we walked out of the hotel, she couldn't see. I never forget her hand coming up and grabbing my arm because she couldn't see. When we got into the restaurant, which was dimly lit with candles, she couldn't read the menu. I had to read her the menu. I was cutting up her food. Mars met her, and she introduced him to other LASIK-damaged patients.
So were these people deliberately hidden from him when he was looking at stuff to approve it?
He approved it on the basis of only a year's follow-up, and the surgeons had assured him that all the complications were temporary. But after he met Paula, he went back to the original data that the FDA had used to approve it.
Mm-hmm.
And between the initial surgery and a year later, he found there was a very high risk of complications, 70% chance of fluctuating vision, dry eye. He realized he'd been hoodwinked. That's the word he used. And he went on to become an advocate against LASIK.
You testified to the FDA in 2011 and 2018.
Right.
But they have done nothing. So my question is the $4 billion LASIK industry buying the FDA's silence?
They're sure not doing anything. And if you can get the FDA to act, you would be saving lives and saving eyes and doing the world a great service.
ASA, is that what the flap thing is?
Advanced surface ablation. There's several newer techniques. There's SMILE, for example, where instead of taking the cornea and lasering it on the top with the laser, they laser the inside of the cornea and they pull this stuff out of the cornea. Advanced surface ablation, SMILE, any of the other techniques all cut the cornea. They have to cut the cornea because what they're doing is reshaping the cornea, which does 70% of the focusing of the eye, to change the focus of the eye. You have to cut the cornea to reshape it. If you cut the cornea, you're making it weaker. You're cutting through corneal nerves. They'll be healing with scarring. None of these quote unquote advanced techniques get away from the fact that you're massacring the cornea. You can't change the focus of the cornea without cutting into it. If you cut into it, you're going to harm it permanently, forever.
12 million people suffering from complications from this. How does that compare to another routine surgery people get, like breast implants and having complications? Like, how does the LASIK complications compare to other routine surgeries we see people get?
Because the eye is what you are using to see the world. And if you cut the cornea of the eye and you ruin your vision, it's going to be more serious than if you have a breast implant and the nipple isn't in the center. It's the eye. The eye is an outpouching of the brain.